Okay, so Back in Black, it's AC/DC. It's 8th notes and 16th notes. I'm going to show you the intro and the verse and the chorus, which is basically the whole song. There's another part later that's a little bit different, but this is basically the main thing, right? So it sounds like this. All right, and then from there it would go back to the verse, and then it would go through the verse and the chorus again, and then it goes to the solo or something like that. It's slightly different. Anyway, what it is, it's, you know, your basic rock beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you're counting 8th notes. Bass drums on 1 and 3, snare drums on 2 and 4, hi-hats on all the 8th notes. So you'd be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And for the first bar, second and third bars are the same. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and very easy. Once you get to the fourth bar, this is where it's a little bit different. Whoa, what's going on with my PDF? You've got 16th notes, and they're grouped in sort of. They're sets of 2 16th notes offset by an 8th note, if that makes any sense. So the 1 E and goes like this. 1 E and. So it's a bass drum and hi-hat on 1, 8th note on the and. 1 E and. 2 E and will be snare on 2, hi-hat bass drum on E, which is an 8th note, which takes up the E and the and. Then a 16th note on ah. So it'll sound like this. 2 E and ah. My mic's on, yeah, okay. 2 E and ah. So we'll do 1 E and then 2 E and together. 1 E and 2 E and ah. I'll do that again. 1 E and 2 E and ah. Then on beat 3, you have hi-hat and bass drum. 3 E, which takes up 2 16th notes because it's an 8th note. And then on and, it's a snare drum. On ah, it's a hi-hat and bass drum. So and ah. So together, 3 E and will go 3 E and ah. I'll do that again. 3 E and ah. So let's do 2 E and 3 E and together. 2 E and 3 E and 2 E and 3 E and Now we'll do 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and I'll do it again. 1 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and all right. Then on 4 E and you've got a 16th note rest on beat 4. So you don't play on 4. And then on the E of 4, you play on the E and you play on the and. 4 E and. Except I would do it starting with my left. 4 E and. So you get 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and The reason on the count of E of 4 I want to do it with my left hand instead of my right is so that I'm lined up to play the crash cymbal on beat 1 of the next bar. So if I'm like 4, E, and 1, you kind of get 4, E, and 1. Well, it's actually more for the end, the last one. But I normally go with 16th notes. Any 8th note is with the right hand, any E or A is with the left. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and I like to do 8th notes with my right hand. And then you do the same thing, except there's a crash on beat 1 of the next line. You play 3 bars the same beat. The exact same rhythm, the only difference is on beat 3 of the second line of the 4th bar, you're going to hit a crash cymbal, 3, E, and 4, E, and, instead of 3, E, and 4, E, and. So you're going to come 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and. I'll do that again really slow. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and. Let's have to full volume. It would be. You'd want to be hitting it full volume. So that's the second line, the 4th bar. The third line, the 4th bar, is the same as the first line. So 3, E, and 4, E, and. Then the last line, the 4th bar, is the same thing as bar 1 or bar 3 of the 4th bar, the last line. But you have an extra note on the A. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down, the last bar. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and. I've got a rest on beat 4, a note on the E, the and the 4 on the snare. And that's the one you want to start with your left hand. 4, E, and so that you're ready to play the crash cymbal on beat 1 of the chorus. If you started with your right hand, 4, E, and your last note will be with your right, and you'll have to do a double, which makes it kind of clunky. 4, E, and 1. 4, E, and 1. If you start it with your left hand on the E of 4, your last note will be with the left hand on the A of 4, and then your right hand will be free to move. All right, and then when you're doing the chorus at the end, you've got that basic beat for 6 bars. The first bar has a crash. Actually, all of them have a crash on beat 1. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 2, and 3, and 4, and up to 6, right? 1 plus 5 is 6. Then on the last 2 bars of the chorus line, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. So that's going to be bass drum on 1, 3, and a 3, and the and a 4. So that's going to be 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Right? So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. And the very last bar of that is a dotted 8th note and a 16th note. And then, so you got a dotted 8th note equals 3 16th note counts. So you're going to have, on the crash and the bass drum, 1, E, and that's the first note. And then the is the 16th note on the the last note there. 1, E, and 1, E, and right? And then on beat 2 is an 8th note rest, which takes 2 16th note counts. So 2, E, and then and because the crash is on the and of 2. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and. So there's a rest on beat 3, a full quarter note. That's all of 3 E, and then on beat 4 you have a flam. And a flam is a low note followed by a big note. Traditional flams are like one's really low and one's high. In this case, you want to do a rock flam. So one of the two hands have to be in time. I make my right hand in time. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and right? And then what I do is I drag my left hand, make it a little bit higher. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. So I get a big open kind of flam sound. So there you go. That's AC/DC Back in Black. All right.